Meghan Markle's race confession left this host speechless. When Meghan Markle opened up about her past, no one expected what came out of her mouth next. Not a royal bombshell, not a scandal, but something raw, personal, and deeply revealing. And when she said it, the host was visibly stunned. This wasn't the Meghan we thought we knew. The moment that caught everyone off guard. It happened during a quiet podcast conversation. No flashy cameras, no royal protocols. Just Meghan and her truth. On Emma Grede's Aspire podcast, the Duchess of Sussex was there to talk business. Her new brand, as ever. But what unfolded was a rare moment of honesty, vulnerability, and discomfort. One that pulled back the curtain on a very different version of Meghan Markle, the one who was constantly told she didn't fit in.
If she your baby mama, she gon' put that baby mama. She gon' put.
There were no mixed race roles before the fame, before the palace, before Suits. Meghan Markle was just another actress chasing auditions, and what she faced then, most people never hear about. There weren't a lot of mixed race parts, she said. That sentence hung in the air. The host blinked, surprised. Really? Meghan answered quietly, solemnly, no. In that moment, the tension was real. It was a stark reminder of how narrow Hollywood's idea of beauty used to be, and in many ways, still is.
She gon' put that baby mama. Drop it down low. Drop it down.
You don't fit, so you become everyone and no one. Meghan explained how casting directors didn't know where to place her. She was often submitted for girl next door roles, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed stereotype. But she didn't look like that. And when roles called for ethnic characters, they came with a different expectation, an edge, a stereotype, an attitude. She didn't fit that either. To some, she even looked Latina. They guessed, they labeled, they misunderstood. And all the while,
Duchess of Sussex
she was being
mentioned
asked
the
to
now viral
squeeze into
video of
boxes
her,
that didn't
very
belong to
pregnant,
her.
and husband Prince Harry dancing to star Keisha's baby mama in hopes of encouraging Princess Lily.
The numbers game that can break you. But the most painful part wasn't the confusion. It was the rejection. Meghan described how, on paper, being multiracial meant she could be submitted for more roles. But in reality, that just meant more auditions and more rejection. 10 auditions, 10 no's. Or 30 auditions and 30 no's. That kind of repetition, it doesn't just bruise your ego. It slowly chips away at your self-worth. And Meghan was brutally honest about that.
Meghan shared the
That's
throwback
really
clip in honor
hard.
of Lilibet's 4th birthday earlier this month.
It's real authentic. Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you, the timing of
From actress to founder, a mindset shift. Fast forward to today, and Meghan's in a completely different world. She's a brand founder, a public figure, a mother, and no longer chasing casting calls. But some things haven't changed. Rejection still exists, insecurity still whispers, and the pressure, it's just shaped differently. That's why she says, I was laser focused on what my intention is. There isn't room for a tremendous amount of self-doubt with that. You either build mental strength or this world
that
will break you.
we maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my
Is that-
People seem to forget that very rarely do people see everything that's happening behind the scenes. I could show a small glimpse.
The trap of trending language. The trap of trending language. Meghan went deeper. She talked about the way we use language and how words like imposter syndrome or doubt can become self-fulfilling. She asked, thoughtful, why do I keep reinforcing this idea? Questioning. Because it's topical? Pondering. In other words, are we talking ourselves into weakness just because the culture says it's okay to? That doesn't mean ignore reality, but Meghan's message was clear, firmly. If you want to grow, you can't keep repeating the same negative stories to yourself.
Of Meghan last week, So it's still ongoing while also doing a podcast, while also building my business. And at a certain point, the only thing I want spread thin is my jam.
Fear isn't the enemy, but it's not the boss. Here's where Meghan's message took a sharp turn into something brutally honest. She wasn't preaching toxic positivity. She wasn't selling hustle culture. She was laying out the mental tightrope that every founder, every dreamer, every outsider walks daily. She said, being fear-based, that's not helpful. Being risk-averse, that's valuable. Most people treat fear like a warning siren, but Meghan treats it like a data point, something to notice, but not something to obey. You can feel the fear and still move forward, and that's the real power. Because let's face it, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And in Meghan's case, she built it from rejection, from discomfort, from silence. Fear didn't leave her. She just learned to move anyway.
However, Meghan assures listeners that this doesn't mean the podcast will not return in the future.
Does it mean it won't come back? No, but I would love to bring the show back when I am at a different end of...
She wasn't what they wanted, so she became her own brand. In an industry obsessed with labels, Meghan never fit cleanly into any box. Not white enough, not black enough, not Latina, not neutral, not typecast. Too ambiguous to be obvious, too visible to be ignored. And for years, that held her back. She was what Hollywood called hard to cast, which really meant hard to categorize. But instead of shrinking, she pivoted. She didn't beg to be seen. She built a platform so big, the world couldn't look away. That's what As Ever represents. It's not just a brand, it's a statement, a message to every person who's ever been told, you're too different, too much, too complicated. She turned too much into just right. She turned not quite right into absolutely unforgettable. And the best part? She did it on her own terms.
Tells fellow podcaster Emma Grede during a June 17th appearance on her Aspire podcast.
What an amazing opportunity to pull back the curtain and let people see what's happening at the start.
Yeah.
What she said next left the room in silence. In a podcast that was supposed to be about business, Meghan dropped one line that froze the room. That's really hard. Simple, honest, heavy. For a woman once reduced to her looks, to her race, to her royal status, this was her reclaiming the mic. She didn't lash out. She didn't play victim. She spoke truth, with control, with clarity. And in that silence, that stunned silence, she said more than most people do in a headline. This wasn't about race or acting or even fame. It was about belonging, about being told you don't, and choosing to rise anyway. Meghan Markle may have married into royalty, but she built her power every inch of it,
at a time.
long
and I
before
started using my
anyone
own sewing
ever
machine. I would
called her
make
Duchess.
scrunchies. So when I was about 5th, 6th grade, I was selling scrunchies for $1 a piece at school.
If this story moved you, if it made you think, reflect, or just feel something you didn't expect, then this is just the beginning. Because stories like Meghan's, they're everywhere. Hiding in interviews, buried in podcasts, left out of headlines, and we're here to dig them up. So if you're tired of surface-level gossip and want more real talk, more raw honesty, and the kind of stories that stay with you long after the video ends, subscribe, comment, be part of this. Because the truth, this isn't just entertainment, it's a movement. And you're not going to want to miss what we uncover next.